I know nothing about this. I've never heard about it up until yesterday when I got this inquiry from Mzilikazi, and I responded honestly that I know nothing about it. I can't wait to be investigated as per his breaking news article that there's investigation. I've not been called by any police. I don't even know when this thing has happened, but I'm looking forward. I think in future, the South African journalists must balance the story. They must balance the story. In fact, journalists are taking us for granted that we have never sued them, and I'm going to sue Mzilikazi. I mean, dragging my name on something that I don't even sit in that committee. And this is not for the first time by South African journalists. When this committee started its work, there was an article that I've bribed ANC members with $1 million that they must find Mkhwebane guilty. That was when the committee was about to start. What I did was to call ANC members who were supposed to serve in that committee to say, this is what the process is going to look like. This is how you are going to follow the process up as per the mandate. But in the media, it was reported that I bribed them. How do you bribe people who are on a fact-finding mission? So today, it's me now who want to end this case of Mkhwebane. I mean, how is that possible? How is that possible? Oh no, oh no. You know, this cheap, low, destructive reporting is just not on.
Well, let's get more reaction on this now, and let's welcome political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng to weigh in on this developing story. Asanda, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Look, you've just heard that clip. Of course, the response from, of course, Pemi Majodina there. What do you make of these allegations yourself?
I think that this is essentially one of those situations where, you know, this case has gone on for so long, and she advocate Mkhwebane is now almost, 3 months. So basically in October, she is supposed to basically vacate her office. And this is potentially yet another delaying tactic. But unfortunately, because the ANC has a history of being corrupt, and the ANC has a history of being corrupt in Parliament, if we look at something like Travelgate, then what this means is that it makes it difficult for us to not believe her when she makes these allegations. It's going to be interesting to see how she proves those allegations, particularly what proof there is that this, that her case was particularly handled unfairly, which is why the bribe was solicited in the first place, to make it not fair.
All right. And then, look, I mean, Asanda, as yet, we haven't established, of course, the authenticity of this letter. We've tried to get hold of the Office of Advocate Mkhwebane unsuccessfully this morning. But, I mean, we always know, I hear what you're saying, this could be another delaying tactic. But we know also that the ANC has been selling us this renewal narrative. What do you think then such allegations, particularly at this stage, as we head towards elections, what do you think it could possibly do to the image that they've been selling us, or this narrative of renewal and so forth that they've been selling us as we head towards the elections?
I think we're unfortunately in a case where every time we think we've hit rock bottom, we find a new bottom. And so in this week, we are talking about ANC corruption potentially having led to cholera outbreak, which has potentially led to more than 20 people dying in Tshwane. That is a direct kind of link to the impact and possibility of negative implications of corruption. At the same time, we are now being hit with these potential allegations, which does nothing to bring us confidence of the ANC's possibility of ever being clean, particularly because we have a history, state capture, Marikana, life esidimeni, many cases. It's like there's a new case coming every day and a new commission coming every day, which never comes to any real conclusion, and nobody is ever held accountable. And so this is yet another case that's likely to drag until Mkhwebane is supposed to vacate her seat in October, in which case, if the commission does find her to have been incompetent, she's going to now take time and drag South Africa through the courts again and make appeal after appeal. And nobody wins in these cases except for lawyers like Dali Mpofu, who have been milking this incompetence for all that it's worth. We are already sitting into the double digits of millions spent just on proving somebody's incompetence. It's actually ridiculous. This is something that should have been done in a week, and we should have come to a conclusion. That is what swift justice looks like, and we are unable to deliver it in South Africa because the very people who are charged with moral, with the moral upstanding, moral upholding of South Africa's laws are unable to do it themselves. And so we find ourselves in these circles. And in any case, we are now in a case where one can say, even with Mkhwebane, you lie with the dogs and you end up with fleas.
Asanda, I'm going to have to leave it there for now because I'm just getting word that we also have the latest reactions from the ANC SG there. That was Asanda Ngoasheng, a political analyst, also, of course, weighing in on that saga. Let's now see what the ANC SG has also weighed in on the matter and said.
The coast. So up until we have something, we can then talk about it. At the present moment, it's a ghost. Mzilikazi writes a story, and then he doesn't mention the names, and then the allegations are there. We don't know what they're talking about, whether there is veracity in the whole thing, but it says there are SMSs exchanged. I'm eager to know who's that, who has done that. If there is any member of the ANC who have done the things that Mzilikazi is reporting about, surely there will be action. Heads will roll, definitely, because we don't play. You go wrong, we hit you. We hit you hard. If there's anybody who has done the things that Mzilikazi is alleging would have happened in the inquiry of Mkhwebane, that person is in for a high jump. The ANC will not hesitate to act. At the present moment, I've got nothing. And there is a journalist, he reported, I'm concerned about the image of the ANC. And that is why we took Mr. Director to clean us. I had some gossip newspaper said that it was all lies, we didn't act. We have acted. And I will be issuing a statement today to report on that Director matter. So any member of the ANC who's found on the reports as reported by Mzilikazi, I can assure you, it won't take a week. We will be on top of that person.
All right, well, let's go back to our political analyst, Asanda Ngoasheng. Asanda, I'm sure you've just heard the SG. They're very interesting that we could actually get his reaction in real time. What are your sentiments to what is just said now? He says heads will definitely roll should there be, of course, a proven case of somebody having had anything to do with what is contained in those allegations by Mzilikazi.
I think, unfortunately, the ANC has to respond to these things and has to pretend like something is going to happen because that's just the nature of the game. Where are the heads that are supposed to roll in state capture? Where are the heads that are supposed to roll in life esitimeni? Where are the heads that are supposed to roll in Marikana? Where are the heads that are supposed to roll in any other scandal that South Africa has seen? As far as I know, we still have people who were in that parliament that was accused of Travelgate, as far as I know. And so the ANC, unfortunately, does not have a history of holding its people accountable. This is why South Africans are tired of ANC governance, because there is no governance in the ANC left. And unfortunately, governments are run on trust. People hand over their votes and entrust other people to act on their behalf. And when those people consistently do not act in your best interests, it becomes a very difficult situation, because now we have the public protector accusing the very government that hired her of, impropriety in the way and the manner that this accusation has come out. And that is actually quite a depressing scenario, because you understand that what hope does an ordinary South African have if the public protector has potential to, be asked to bribe. And if it is indeed, if it's found that it's not true and that this was yet another delaying tactic, what kind of country are we that would appoint a public protector that would make such allegations? So whichever way this goes, it really does not bode well for the image of the ANC and for the kind of government and governance that they keep claiming to have. This is why South Africans no longer trust them. This is why they are not going to get the majority in 2024, because they just are not measuring up. And it doesn't matter which way you can dress it up. It doesn't matter which way you can pretend like you live, in a country other than the one that you live in, where our politicians have consistently shown themselves to be corrupt. And now we have this investigation within an investigation, allegations within allegations. If they had just done their job and set out this inquiry and given it a time frame and cut it off when they were supposed to, we would not be sitting here. And so when you are corrupt, you give everybody the opportunity to drag your name, the opportunity to accuse you of all kinds of things. And so this is how we end up in this situation, which is sad for one person, which is the South African voter. That is the person that gets shortcut in these situations, because our parliament is now going to be spending time that it is meant to spend implementing, writing, thinking about the laws of this country and the future of all of our children. It's going to spend that time having an investigation within an investigation, and then trying to prove that a woman that we all can see is incompetent and has been, accused of all this incompetence and seen in court cases. Now we are trying to prove, I don't know what we're trying to prove at this point.
Asanda, look, let's talk about the legal implications now should this later be proven authentic. These allegations could potentially, now you were just going on about, of course, the time wasted, the resources, state resources, taxpayers' money that has been wasted. Of course, this could potentially then dismantle the entire Section 194 proceedings and even render them futile. So basically the past 6 months or so, we've basically been putting money into a project that's not going to get off the ground. So let's talk about those legal implications.
If it is indeed true that there was bribery or a request for bribery, we basically just gave Dalimpofu the lotto for nothing. Our taxpayers' money for nothing. And this is exactly what the ANC has become famous for constantly being involved in processes, for constantly coming up with corruption that renders all their acts, good and bad, null and void. And this is why South Africans do not and cannot continue to trust this current government, because they are consistently showing themselves as untrustworthy. If we lived in a different country, we should be able to stand here on these channels and say, no, there is no way a member of parliament actually bribed somebody or asked for a bribe in order to make a hearing fair. We are sitting here having doubts because doubts have been sown by past actions of corruption. We need to live in a country where our politicians are trustworthy, in a country where we can stand and say, no way, not in my country, that did not happen. But we don't live in that country. And that is the sadness that we are faced with on a day-to-day basis. The ANC deserves everything that's coming to it because of the ways in which they have conducted themselves and the ways in which they have broken the hearts of millions of South Africans who entrusted them with their vote and continue to entrust them.
Thank you so much, Asanda. We're going to leave it there. That is political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng, also weighing in, of course, on the extortion allegations that have been brought forward by, of course, one of the journalists there pertaining to PP advocate Mkhwebane.